Hello, this is Monday Night Get Nuked. I'm Thirsty, and this is the wonderful world of Twitch. You're sure, imagine you already know, because you're here already. Tonight we will be exploring A Tale of the Desolation, because, as you can see, there's no Spanners there, because she's off watching American football or something on a hill, which seems like a perfectly valid life choice. There we are. Quite aside from imported sports, let's dive into something deeply British. A tale of endurance and woe, woven in the south of Britain in a post-apocalyptic hellscape. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing. So that particular post-apocalyptic hellscape will be Nuked, which is a setting for the Spiced system, which is owned by Bloodthirsty Puppets, which is like me and the person who's not down there and the person who's way over there in the other corner. That's all good. There are rules for chat, which are don't be a tool about someone's race, don't be a tool about someone's gender, and don't be a tool.
Or a screwdriver.
And if you want to be a tool about something else, don't. Because, frankly, I don't want to write lots of rules. I find them hard to remember. So, there we are. If you're in chat, say hey or don't. I've occasionally mentioned people who have mentioned us in chat. I occasionally look at chat. I very rarely interact with it very, very well because I'm not very good at multitasking. And I already have 2 monitors. So, there we are. Wow, that's a strange audio artifact. Huh. I wonder who that came from. Anyway, before we go any further, we should find out who these people on the screen with me are. So, strange people who are on the screen with me, introduce yourselves. And you might as well say who you're going to play tonight, even though we improvised their names like half an hour ago.
Well, I will start. I am Tech Puppet, and I will be playing Burke tonight, who I will introduce when we start the story, because I made him a few minutes ago and haven't entirely decided on exactly what he's like yet.
Fair enough. So, who's going to jump in next? Who's feeling bold?
Go on then.
Yeah.
I'm Lilth, and tonight I will be playing Druids. Who knows what they are? Because came up with the name, half an hour ago?
Yeah. Can you tell us an interesting miscellaneous fact about Drut?
Careful, he'll choose for you if you don't pick one.
I know. That's why I'm trying to kick my brain into gear.
Your spaghetti could be his favourite food.
They like to collect dice.
They collect dice. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Don't know why I'm making a note of this. This is potentially a one-shot character. Likes dice.
Because there's one in front of me and that's all I could see.
There we are. Excellent. So, last but no means least.
Oh, I'm Boss, and today I'll be playing Boney. That's all we're getting.
Okay. What's Boney's shoe size?
Oh, I would. I'd drop it down a size because he's a rotter. So let's say a size 7. Small feet, smallish feet.
He has baby feet.
It's not baby feet.
Yeah.
It'll be normal size, but all the flesh is contracted a bit, and it's
tiny baby feet. It's lovely.
Dried.
Yeah. There we are.
Put size 7 toe caps on you if you.
Size 7 toe caps. Oh, I haven't been a size 7 since I was about 9. Anyway, there we are. Revealing personal information.
Still not a size 7.
Oh. Well, you know, some people just never aspire to the grand heights of shoes that are far too expensive and large.
Just go for far too expensive and tiny.
Yeah, you know, clearly there are ways to make up for these things by making shoes far too expensive, no matter the size. There we are.
Such tiny feet to get children's shoes, no tax.
Oh.
Much more comfortable.
Oh, yeah, I might or might not do that.
Anger. Anger. Anyway, so to set the scene, we have Burke and Drutt and Boney the Rotter currently sitting around a fire in sort of mid to late evening, and it's autumn on the south coast of Britain, so it's raining. So it's cold, it's rainy, it's a little bit windy. It's not awfully pleasant. They've got sort of threadbare old tents with them, but right now they're out enjoying the heat of the fire before retiring. They're sitting outside a walled complex that's called Wish Green. Wish Green is run by clean, rich people who live in their nice little pre-war bubble, surrounded by other clean, rich people. And they keep all of the dirty, not rich people with a wall and guards. And unfortunately, Burke, Drutt, and Boney are not clean, rich people. Burke, Drutt, and Boney are collectors of a kind, working for a man called Zach, who's rumoured to work for an old man in the hills called Bowland, and they've been sent here to meet a caravan that's bringing some choice merchandise from far away. And it's meant to be a box about sort of yay wide by about sort of a foot across, maybe a foot or two deep. And they have been told this box will be a dull grey, it will have stenciling on, and they are under no circumstances to open it. Now, the caravan was meant to come through here a day or so ago. Just like the last caravan they were meant to meet. The merch they're here to pick up just doesn't seem to be arriving. The previous caravan they were sent out to meet was over in Hawes, and when they turned up to pick up the gear, it had been hoisted out the bank. So here they are, They're pretty aware that their boss will not be very pleased with them if they go home with nothing. So as the stars come out, and the moon shines down, and the rain sort of lashes around, we find them here, sitting next to their fire. So, here you are. What are you guys doing?
I'm going to be repairing my boots.
Fair enough.
I have my grandfather's old walking boots, which are more gaffer tape and bits of repair material than they are original boot, but they're a precious family heirloom, and my feet got wet in the rain, so I'm now attempting to rectify it by rubbing some kind of animal fat and oil and whatever else I can find that's slightly sticky and tacky into it to try and stop water flowing into it.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, you're rubbing some filth into your filthy old boots. So that's what Burke's doing. What's Drutt doing?
Poking the fire with a stick.
Poking the fire with a stick.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a casual poking of the fire with a stick, or is this cooking something on the stick?
No, this is just poking the fire with a stick.
This is the vicious beating the fire with a stick.
Not
People
vicious,
do when they're bored.
Yes. Just
If it was a small animal, this would be cruel, but it's a fire, so no one mentions it. Yeah.
And occasionally just throwing some more stuff on it to burn.
Okay.
And watching the flames.
Yes. So, Boney. You've got a companion who's poking the fire for no apparent gain. A companion who's attempting to fix boots that are getting wetter the minute the over time as he sits out trying to fix them. What are you doing?
I'll be making like a rudimentary sort of stew in like an old sort of tin can there.
Okay, then.
Anything you've got left over, just chucking it in there.
Yeah.
Be some sort of shriveled bit of beetroot or root vegetable or something. Some sort of crumbs of tack, some tiny bit of dried meat, just tearing that apart and just chucking it in there with a load of water to make some sort of rudimentary food.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
You wouldn't choose it, but it's better than starving.
Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, you're all sitting there, you're sitting there, fixing your boots, poking the fire, waiting for Boney to come up with dinner. Right. Well, yeah, give me a. Well, to be fair, this is an improvised game, so give me a check for your cooking. Just in general, like, how well is the cooking going?
Ooh, that's a botch.
Okay. Okay. So yeah,
Is the mushrooms look tasty sort of botch, or is this going to be I've spilt boiling hot soup down someone sort of botch?
So you pick up your large tin. It's probably closing in on like the thicker tins you get, like industrial sized like packs of beans in.
I think like the old sort of marmalade sort of tin.
Yeah, that kind of somewhere big on thing like that. Yeah, and you carry it. Possibly even just use it as a part of your pack.
Yeah,
like, you just put things in it in the meantime. But yeah, you chucked all your various sundry bits in there, and captured some rainwater in. Captured some rainwater off of like a fold in the tent.
Yeah.
Like just whoop, whoop. There we are. And it's come from the sky. It can't be dirty with filth from the ground yet. So yeah, you go over and you attempt to like take some larger stones on your way through. Like you're kicking one along, you're holding one in one hand, got the can sort of under one arm, sort of with hand underneath it, sort of leaning here. And you put one stone like on one side of the fire, and you're going to attempt to sort of put a big stone like in the fire, and like two next to the fire to make a little like tripod to stand the can on. And while you're doing this, you get the two outside the fire. They seem to be pretty solid. You sort of poke them with your toe. And as you're placing the third stone sort of on the fire, as you're placing the third stone on the fire, it kind of intersects with Drut's poking stick. Like trapping it for a moment. Like, to be fair, when you're poking a fire, occasionally things like they burn through and things fall on the stick. You tug it out. You don't really think much. You don't really think much of this for the moment. The stick's caught. Fuck's sake. And just as the can settles on the stones, Drut pulls the stick back out, and you get to see your cold dinner get dumped on the fire. The can now contains approximately enough cold, uncooked stew for one person. The fire now contains 2 people's worth of uncooked stew, and dramatically less flame.
Really, Drat? Really?
What? I just poked the fire. You're the one that dropped the stew.
Just the 3rd time this week. Come on.
Well,
I remember when we used to have food. It wasn't raining so much. Oh, those were good days.
yeah, the rain sucks. The fact that I get the blame for this idiot rotter here spilling the stew.
So what are you doing? You've managed to pretty much put out the fire and waste all the food. What are you doing to recover the situation? All of you, any of you.
Anyway, I'm going to start complaining loudly about how much better things used to be back in the old days. I decided the bird's going to be quite old. He's going to be like in his 40s. So he's going to be harping on about how much better things used to be when it didn't used to rain so much, and people knew how to cook food and how to set fires and it didn't rain.
Okay. Give me a check. Roll me a check.
Would that be a charisma check just to see how
Pretty much, yeah.
see how well I can inspire people with my tales of yore?
Oh no! This is a pure spiteful psyching up check. You
7.
Okay.
Stepping to psych people up with my unrelenting complaining. I'm hoping that people will just resolve the situation just to stop me complaining so much.
Yeah. Your loud complaining does very little. It makes you feel slightly better, very very slightly better. It kind of relieves the pressure a bit. All those gripes you've had building up, but everyone else it just annoys them. So yeah, right. What's Drut doing?
Drut turns to Burke and just says, "Oh, for Pete's sake, shut the fuck up!" And then he's going to start trying to repair the fire.
I love that. That's great. Oh, okay. Are you gonna
starts piling some smaller wood up? Gets right down and starts blowing to try and get the fire going again.
Yep. Throw me a check of any kind. Do you want
9.
9. Okay. Yeah. You Yeah. Essentially, what you do, you use the mass of the wet stew or the water in the stew to just scrape out basically all the ashy sort of crud clumps together. You can just scrape it out, and essentially you're just starting a new fire on the dry ground next to the embers of the old one. So you can scoop them in. It starts smoking away. It's going to be a while before it's a decent cooking fire, and you're all getting quite cold and damp. Dinner is now going to be considerably later. Right.
I start muttering about the fact under my breath, but more a case of stupid Burke doesn't actually pull his own weight and only just destroys the food, and I'm the one left putting the fire back together, doing something constructive.
It's got 3 grumpy people just sitting here in the cold and the wet, grumbling at each other.
Perfect.
To be fair, probably been sitting out in this most of the day. If not all day.
Yeah.
You've been sitting here for 3 days.
Yeah.
I think I started off quite cheerful.
No, I think Burke
had enough now.
I think Burke's always grumble. His grumbling goes from barely audible to loud and obnoxious back to barely audible again.
He doesn't actually stop, does he? Just constantly grumbles. Just occasionally you can hear what he's saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough. So yes, Boney, you have
try and see what I can salvage from this. Like just getting bits and just washing them off in the main water on top of the tent and just chucking them back in the pot when no one's looking. Seeing what else I've got left to try and top it up.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Roll me just like a pure luck check.
2.
2. Okay. Oh, that's dreadful. For that, you only get a D4. You only find 2 salvageable chunks of food in the fire. Drut's already scraped the rest off in a big ashy lump. Possibly just chucked it somewhere. Fuck's sake.
Well, that's your portion.
Yeah. So yeah, you've recovered a chunk of stringy old meat, and fuck it, why not? And a quartered parsnip, because you deserve all of the worst things in the world at this point. So you find some stringy old meat and a bit of parsnip.
At the comment about that's your portion, I'm going to turn to Boney and just go, do you want a fire? Or do you want to just keep moaning? Because I'm quite happy to just leave the fire to you idiots and go in the dry.
Good luck finding something dry around here. Nothing but rain for 3 days straight.
It'll be drier in the tent. Well, probably.
She's right. probably his dryer in the tent. As you're all standing there complaining loudly at each other, a well-meaning, sort of a bright, clean, well-meaning face peeks over the top of the wall that you're sort of encamped next to, because you've purposefully encamped in like the shade of this wall, just to block the wind and rain in at least one direction.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's been talking to you every day. He's just like one of the wall guards. He's nothing particularly special. He's well, let's say he's an obnoxious twit, but hey, he's a nice enough fella by the name of Holland, and he just pokes his head over the top. You can tell because he has very large curly hair. It's sort of piled on top.
You see the hair first, and then his face just comes in underneath. Sort of.
Yeah. You get the impression that he wears a helmet, but for some reason he just doesn't see the point of wearing it on duty very often. And he has like helmet hair, but you've never seen him wear the helmet. But yeah, he pokes his head over the top of the wall. He's like, "Having trouble with dinner, lads?"
You can shut the fuck up as well.
Yeah, you can see, you can smell, possibly. Like the more eagle-eyed of you can probably see, like he's holding a sandwich. Like, like a crispy, like a crusty roll.
Ooh.
Like transparently has some kind of like toasted meat in it of some kind.
I pick up the nearest stone and hurl it at him.
Give me. That's an attack, damn it.
Oh, that was about to fall off the table. That does fall off the table.
Backup dice, quickly. He's getting away.
I've got another one in here somewhere.
One of those must have been a crit.
You'd hope.
That's a 4.
A
Because
4.
I've gone back to my crap dice.
Oh,
It's
you've
going back in the bag.
gone back
Put
to
that
your
one.
horribly unlucky dice. Okay, yeah. You just pick up a stone and throw it generally in the direction of the wall. You get the impression Holland hasn't even noticed. But if a few moments later you hear a crash of a breaking window. And someone sounding unhappy. What the bloody hell did that then?
I was going to come on, Lord. Spread the love. Come on, let's have a bit of that sandwich.
Spread the love. All right then. And you see, he's sort of he's basically only like shoulders and hands and a head over a parapet. And you see, like in his other hand, he's holding like a steaming mug. Like, all right then. And he pours the steaming mug. Like he doesn't like upend it, but he pours a bit over the wall. Like, tea's up, lads. Like just dumps it. Like he dumps like half a mug full of tea on your tent.
I don't think I've got anything in my hands I can throw at him.
You're holding a boot.
Actually, no wait. There's that lumpy bit of like stew that was like scraped off the fire, wasn't it?
You could wander off into the darkness and try and find it. Yeah.
I thought it might be by the fire still. I didn't know if it had been thrown away. No, fair enough. So if there was like a bit of nasty, lumpy stuff that had fallen out the stew, I would have thrown it at him. But if I can't see any nearby, then I'd just be like, no. Let's go into grumbling quietly again.
Okay. Cheer up, lads. It might never happen. And his head disappears back over the wall.
As he disappeared, I'll make some obscene gesture in his direction.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably associated with people paying us, so I'm not going to be too rude directly to his face.
Yeah. Oh no, he's in no way related to anyone paying you.
Oh, in that case,
he's literally just like one of the guards at the place you're camping near.
In that case, I'll definitely make obscene gestures at him then.
Oh, one day I'll never to come back here. One day.
Yeah. One day you'll be rich enough to retire here in style. But yeah, you can hear someone shouting in the general direction, like behind the wall. Clearly Holland isn't meant to be dicking around on top of the walls and taunting you. but no one cares about it enough to stop him before he does it. So yeah, you've thrown things at the rich people, and the guards have antagonized you a little. So yeah, the night sort of proceeds in this sort of fashion. Like, you know, the rain gets heavier as the night goes on. You eventually manage to cook like a very, very meager stew. But how do you divide the stew? Do you actually divide it like equally, or?
I assume we just stick 3 spoons in it, go at it.
I'm just going to I'm assuming everyone's got like a mug or something in their pack.
That's probably got like a mug here.
Let's hold my hand again. It's like listening for the mugs. I'm just going to try and just spoon this out evenly between us.
Yeah, I'll pass my mug over.
Okay. So you actually do attempt to distribute this evenly.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like, that was you guys' share that you dumped in the fire. You can have like the gravy. Go fuck yourselves. But okay. Fair enough. You divide it equally. You know, you're a good companion, at least notably. So,
I'm just thinking, like, we've been here 3 days, and this caravan hasn't turned up. We need to try and find it.
Yeah.
I'll spend another night here with Holland there.
Yeah, it does suck being here. All right, yeah. So what, in the morning, head off?
Yeah.
What, south?
No, that's the direction it was
Coming
coming
from
from,
south, wasn't it?
I think so.
It's coming in from sort of... the caravans started off to the southwest. It's coming in from the west.
Okay. Well, why don't we just head down the road to the west? I mean, like, if we find something there, then at least it'll get us away from here.
Yeah.
Can't be much worse.
At least, yeah.
Now you've said it.
Better than sitting our asses in the rain all day.
Okay. So yeah, you're sitting there in the tent, eating your stew, drinking your stew. You know, it's one of those. It's one of those contentious points. Do you eat a stew or drink it when it's in a mug? Who knows? Anyway, you consume your stew. Do you have just the one tent?
Yeah, I
Do you
so.
have individual tents?
It's a bit opulent having a tent each, isn't it?
No, it depends.
No.
It depends sort of how extensive a tent you're picturing.
I'm picturing a small, cramped tent, but I'm also picturing the fact that it's probably easier to own and maintain one tent than it is like 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's definitely patches in it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Lots of patches.
Yeah. Yeah. So you pitch up in your little tent. Your tent is quite clearly at one point. At one point, your tent was 2 tents. It's been sort of, you can see like the front of it is one color and the back is another. One side is sort of a light green and the other side is like the other side is like a slightly darker than sky blue, but they're both made of the same sort of like heavy canvas. Someone's where it's been stitched, it drips because it always does. The seams are always the weakest part. But yeah, so you sit there, and one of the lovely little quirks of your beautiful tent is it doesn't really have sides that come all the way down to the ground. You are, in fact, sort of camping under half of a tent. The other half has been allocated to another collection team. So where in a normal like ridge tent, you'd have the ridge pole going along. That's where the floor is on one side. And you have sort of basically you have like a taco shell.
Sounds like a really awful scout tent.
Yeah, it's basically a scout tent rolled on its side.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you are. You have that and like a ground sheet. So yeah, you're all sitting there like you can see out, which is the upside. Like you never lose visibility. The downside is in heavy rain, rain can be driven in, which is why you camp next to something.
It's cold.
Yeah. But there you are. You are all sort of laying there, and eventually you manage to get some sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, it's cool and clear, and you have that wonderful sort of like after rain thing where it's still wet, but it's not depressing anymore. Everything's just dripping and quite pretty. So everything's fresh and nice. It's quite crisp because it's an autumn morning, and
Yes, at this point.
so you guys want to move on? Are you going to stop and have like some breakfast first, or are you just gonna pack the tent up and fuck off?
I think the fire's gone out by now, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Let's just go as quick as we can.
Yeah, I'm going to get up, put my wet boots on, stamp about a bit, complain, grumble a bit, and then help put the tent away.
Yeah, is that the general theme for everyone?
Yeah.
Complain, boots on, complain, tent away. Okay.
Yeah.
I think like regardless of how nice this morning looks, I think Burke's definitely going to be complaining. Yeah, at a fairly audible rate at the moment because this is a spectacularly unpleasant experience.
Yeah,
getting up, putting on wet boots, and not having breakfast. All the bad things.
I'm gonna pull some jerky out the bottom of my bag and just take a couple of bites and hand some around, mainly to shut Burke up.
It does, yeah. The loud grumbling drops into barely audible kind of grumbling around chewing jerky.
I was thinking, you're saying that Burke's quite old. How many teeth does he have left?
Not that many. He's got basically his teeth are on his right side of his jaw. His left side teeth are basically gone, but he can chew on his right side still.
Going to keep him quiet for a long time then. This jerky house is a good choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm well aware of that.
Is this Drut's pocket of Berkey jerky?
Mm-hmm.
Quiet, Burke, eat this.
Yeah, when you're walking along, when you're walking out on a collection, he starts going, "Oh, fuck it, there's rain, blood, I haven't eaten anything proper." Oh yeah, I've got some jerky for you.
Yep.
Excellent.
Gains about an hour of pretty much silence.
I know, but the chewing noise he makes is terrible. He's missing half his teeth. It's all horrible noises and squelching and stuff.
But it's not actually vocal anymore.
It's better than the moaning.
Oh yeah, anything's better than that.
I've made a character so annoying. People feed me. Just stop me talking.
Excellent.
A very useful trait in a wilderness.
Yeah. So you're so you don't relight a fire. You don't attempt to make a hot breakfast. Fair enough.
No.
You don't attempt to have a jar of leaf and reinvigorate yourselves for the day's hike. Okay. As you're sort of packing up, once again, the Tower of Curls pops up over the wall. Holland's looking pretty tired. You get the impression he must have pulled the night shift last night. But he's once again standing there with a steaming bacon butty and a big mug of tea. He's got a ketchup smear on one side of his face. And
And then I'm going to pick up one of the stones from the fire and see if I can just knock the butty from his hand.
Okay, go on.
Tried.
Oh.
Had enough of this. I've had a shit night. And that is a crit.
Excellent. Yeah.
Can I try to catch it?
So yeah, you see Holland's hair emerge over the parapet.
I've seen the hair start to come up as I've been sort of packing everything into this tin fired baling twine spot in my pack.
Yeah. But you see, before you see the hair and you see the steam coming from a mug of tea.
Something. Yeah.
And and you get the impression Holland's not very tall. It takes him a little bit to actually get over the parapet. He has to kind of put his elbows on it and stand on tiptoes. So you kind of get the mug and then the butty and the hair, you can see the hair, and then the face. So yeah, as the butty comes over, his hands over the wall, over the parapet at this point, and you pick up one of the large stones that you used to brace the can last night for the stew.
Yeah.
And you huck it right into his wrist. and there's like an audible crunch.
Ooh, something for that violent, but yeah, go for it.
So, there's just that crunch of when you get like a relatively soft stone, like a chalk or something, and it hits something hard, and you get all the little bits sort of crunching off of it.
Yeah.
So the bacon butty, falls, in that way that when something truly beautiful falls a great height, it doesn't tumble properly. It just like it's giving off steam, and there's a faint choir of angels.
Up and the bacon goes one way.
I did just roll to catch it, got a crit.
Okay.
I think at the same time that Boney throws a stone at the hand holding the bacon butty, I throw a stone at the hand holding the cup of tea to try and knock it into him.
Okay. Okay.
Come on, round this out with another crit. We can have the ultimate breakfast scene.
The trifecta of breakfast.
Trifecta of breakfast ruined. Oh.
That was a crit.
Oh Christ!
3 crits.
Jesus.
Oh.
Yeah, you throw a stone up. Yeah.
I like the evening, guys.
Yeah. The first stone flies skyward and crunches into this guy's wrist. Bacon butty falls. Burke lurches towards the wall, like stomping over the fairly freshly collapsed tent, just smearing mud and big boot prints all over the outside of the tent, smushing all of the wet layers of canvas together so that the water will go through them and the inside will be wet and mouldy tomorrow. Huzzah.
Bacon butty.
Yeah. And as Burke moves, you lift another stone and you huck it right into the bottom of the mug, the bottom edge, just where it's sort of coming over the side of the wall.
Ooh.
And you see the mug just sort of it just flips up and over. And you hear the mug break. You hear a sort of a cry of alarm, followed by a cry of pain, and a cry of shit, it's hot, oh fuck, and then you hear the mug break. My mug! Damn it!
Stop being a git then.
I'm just like, screw you, Holland.
Yeah. At which point, you see, Holland emerges over the parapet. You can see he's got a red patch on his jaw now. He's been scorched quite badly. And and you can see sort of the top of an open tunic, and in it he has a wax paper envelope, a package. And he opens it up, and it's got 3 bacon butties in. And he starts screaming, "Fuck you then, you bastards!" And he's throwing them at you.
I try and catch
I
one.
was trying to be nice, you fucks. I know we've been giving you a hard time, but Jesus, what the hell's wrong with you people?
You've been giving us a hard time for the past 3 days. What more do you expect?
My kid made me that mug. Damn it.
If he's lobbing bacon sandwiches, I'm trying to catch one.
Yeah. As we've established, Burke has already caught one.
Even if they hit the floor, you can just pick them up and eat them.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yes. But I want you to roll just a pure luck roll, Burke.
Go on.
Everyone else roll on to catch.
3.
10.
Okay. The one you catch, that's fallen from the wall, it has exactly your choice of condiments, but not in the proportions you would have them. Like, it's one of those things where someone's got like both barbecue sauce and ketchup, but this person's put too much ketchup in, whereas you might prefer barbecue sauce, sort of thing. It's like it's nice, but it's not how you would have done it. Like, but hey, it's a free
Lots
bacon
of
sandwich.
gherkins and just a little bit of HP sauce.
But yeah, it turns out, it's nice, but it's not how you would have done it. Like, he's put in a bit of like jam or something. You're like, what? Like, you don't know why. But yeah, there you are. It's pleasant. Right, so you've attained one. How's his ballistics going? So the first bacon sandwich sucks. His second throw is terrible. And he's... Oh, Jesus God. He hasn't rolled over a 6. So yeah, basically, his attempts to throw bacon sandwiches at you are all terrible. So none of them are heading to you. Did anyone roll well to catch anything?
I think that was Grim with his 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a crit.
But he got a crit to catch it. The luck roll was just how the bacon sandwich how good it would be. But yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You guys, unfortunately, are just the general area you are in is pelted with bacon sandwiches.
Bread and bacon. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like bread and bacon. Like as he throws it, like it all comes apart.
Yeah.
And bread and bacon and various condiments just get sort of splattered around the general area.
Oh, I just pick them up and pick all the leaf detritus off and put it together and start eating it.
Yeah.
Bacon sarnie. I haven't had bacon or bread for ages.
Yeah.
Just bony crap stew.
Yeah. I mean, it's... As far as bacon goes, it's terrible. As far as slightly salted pork goes, it's great. But yeah, it's just pleasant.
To be fair, everything tastes terrible at this point.
Yeah. Well,
compared to what normally you have, it's probably quite nice.
Yeah.
I
say this because like Boney would have been able to tell the difference, in theory, depending on how old he is. Like, he might have actually had properly cured, pork products at one point. But hey, there we are. So yes, you enjoy your weaponized sandwiches, and
but no pride.
No, and Hastings he waves a flask at you, but he's if you're gonna waste my tea, I'm gonna waste yours, and you see him just like extravagantly pour it down his throat. He upends it and like increases the distance, without like decreasing the flow. Like it splatters over his face a little bit, but it's like ha 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 ha! I drink the tea in your general direction.
I don't even like tea.
It's like, well,
that's a blatant lie.
Yeah.
But,
Fair enough. It's a crisp autumn morning. When's going to turn and it'll be cold.
It's the end of my shift. I get to go inside. Nah. And yeah. He disappears. Like you can hear him sort of, ow, ooh, ooh, ow.
Well, how long do you keep popping that all up?
Try and be nice to people. Oh, bastards.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah. Yeah. And a few minutes later, you see some other faces like peeking over the wall. They're not talking to you. They're not hanging over, like leering or anything. But you can see clearly that the guards have taken a little more interest in you now that you've used stones to pelt one of the guards. That particular parapet isn't full, but like the ones on either side of it, a few either side. There's just like a head in a helmet. The helmets are
right, we're
match.
off.
Yeah. Good. Good. Get away from here.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah. You see someone from up on the wall dump a bucket of water over where your fire was. It's like, can't be having that next to the wall. Get the
It was
impression
out already.
get the impression if you come back, they're probably not going to be as great about you camping hard up against their wall. But
hopefully, won't come back.
Well, this is your job to go out and collect things. You might have to come back to here at some point, but hey.
Yeah, but I've forgotten by then.
Maybe. Yeah. So you're heading off west, looking for this caravan. Right. Who can read?
I'll say Burke has a basic understanding of signs. Probably, I wouldn't say he's like book smart, but he can probably read basic signs. And
so you recognise like road signs and things. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Possibly more by like repeated viewing of them rather than understanding what they mean, but he knows that means like whatever. Reference
as a picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this picture means Pete.
Yeah.
No, that's the word Pete. Oh, okay. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, you're walking along, and you've managed to like apportion out like who carries what part of the tent and all that sort of shit. The last night's stew can has been rinsed out with rainwater and strapped back onto the side of Boney's pack. Possibly like a tack has been thrown in there to marinate for the day. So it would be change like the proper mulchy texture by this evening. So yeah, there you are. You're wandering on down, and Boney pulls out the little note he has written from your boss Zach, and it's in true highbrow fashion. It's been written on a piece of cardboard in crayon. And it just sort of says, this is the instructions that sent you here, and it specifies a day, which is the day you arrived at Wish Green. It specifies Wish Green. It specifies a pig-drawn wagon and the name Brian. So there you are. You are looking for a pig-drawn wagon operated by a man called Brian.
Cool. We'll head down the road to the west, looking out for a pig-drawn wagon, or any signs or smells of pigs in the area.
Okay. So yeah, as you're heading on down the road, as you are heading on down the road, you notice on this sort of rough old road surface, there are some furrows that look pretty new. They're quite wide and quite deep. Like someone's got like a vehicle of some kind running. I mean, these things happen every so often, but fuel isn't easy to get hold of. So most people can't justify the expense. I mean, even your boss's boss doesn't justify the expense of using motorized vehicles because you're not in one. And as you making your way down, everyone give me perceptions. Everyone make a perception. And tell me where you're looking, what you're looking for.
Great.
Okay.
I'm looking and smelling for pigs as I walk down the road.
Okay, you're looking for pigs. Anyone else?
9. I'm just looking for signs of a cart.
Okay. Ross?
13. I'm just going to have just generally sort of looking around for any sort of signs of anything that's fresh, track-wise, that sort of thing.
Okay. But as you're coming along looking for signs of pigs, you find like charred bones in the ditch by the side of the road. Like, these ditches are pretty common features of roads or in the Desolation. People aren't the best at picking up after themselves, and these ditches also work for drainage. And in a pinch, sometimes water. And yeah, you find some bones that. How brave are you feeling? There's some like chunks of charred meat on them. Like it appears fairly fresh.
Yeah, I'll pick it up and investigate it and see if I can. Is it still warm?
It's not It's not incredibly cold.
Okay.
You get the impression like it might have been cooked last night, sort of thing.
Okay. And there's still a bit of meat on it, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's lunch sorted.
Okay, yeah. If you sample it, it is pork.
Okay. I was like, well, there were some pigs came this way, like within the last day or so, by the looks of it.
Someone ate some pork nearby. Yeah.
Yeah. And judging by the fact there's bones here, I assume they actually ate a pig rather than, unless someone just carried around the carcass of a pig and then disposed of it here. That seems a bit wasteful.
Well, this is just a bone. It's clearly been meat has been eaten off of it, and there's just
just one bone. It's not.
Yeah. There's a piece left here.
I thought you meant there were half a carcass of a pig or something.
Oh no, there are other bones, but this is the one you found with meat on.
Okay, fair enough.
It's not uncommon to find bones in these trenches.
Yeah.
But this one was on top, still kind of warm, and pork.
Yeah, I'll chew a bit off and pass it around.
Yes. So you were looking for traces of a wagon, yeah? So you're sitting there, and you get handed the pork bone. Start, munching on the pork. It's quite sort of hard. You get the impression this is just the bit that someone felt wasn't worth the hassle of eating. It's gone sort of quite hard and dry. Yeah, as you're sort of walking along, you realise that no wagons have come along here for a little while. There's no recent wagon tracks. I mean, admittedly, it has been raining. It's fairly muddy, but even in the stretches of the road that are sort of broken paving, there are no obvious tracks. Which would lead you to assume, at least, that if the wagon you're looking for was coming this way, it didn't get here. At least not yet.
Point this out to the other two, and it's like, well, there may have been pigs here, but there haven't been a cart.
Well, maybe the cart broke down and they were walking with the pigs or something. And what's that other track? And I point to the big gouge that's you said there was in the track.
Well,
no idea.
Yeah, so it's two parallel gouges. They're sort of maybe a foot wide each, and a couple of inches deep.
Okay.
It was big.
Are they wide apart or are they quite narrow together?
They're probably sort of 4 or 5 feet apart.
Okay. I was like, well, that looks like a wagon track.
Could have been. It's not like the usual wagon.
It's got treaded tires.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's possible. I guess my guy may have encountered this kind of thing before. It's fairly likely if he's been wandering around the Desolation for the last 40 years, that he probably would have at least heard of something like this before then.
Oh, people get mulling occasionally. Some people even just use them as a basis for a cart or something they can pull along. But it's usually on wheels that's big though.
Yeah. Have we heard it? Because we've been kind of how far have we been travelling now, to get this far?
You would have been travelling for a couple of weeks.
No, I mean from where we just. No, I mean from.
From Wish Green.
Yeah.
Oh, this is less than a day. You've been walking for hours.
Well, I thought if something from what I've heard, maybe seen, these things make quite a bit of noise and a racket. And I thought we've been just sitting around doing nothing for the last 3 days. If this thing had gone past, I thought we probably would have heard something.
Yeah.
So it didn't go past then?
Going the other way, maybe.
Well, whether it came from here or ended here, it would have, would have still heard it moving past. I thought. Maybe it's more. Maybe it came through more than a couple of days ago. I mean, it's left some big tracks.
It's been raining last night and heavily. The tracks have deteriorated by now.
Maybe it's just quiet. I guess. Don't know.
Maybe it's from the road. It's not the point. Either way, need to go heading down this way to see if we can find this card or what's left of it.
Yeah, right. Let's carry on.
Okay. So yeah, Boney, you were looking for new tracks.
Fresh tracks, yeah.
Yeah, and you got a 13, which means you did fairly well. You notice off the road. So if you're screw it, they're still British. Off the road to the left, these larger tracks are on the left hand side of the road, or towards the left hand side of the road, where it's not that wide. Off to the left, the other side of the drainage ditch on the left, you notice there are thinner tracks, also quite deep, but maybe only an inch or two wide. And there's maybe 4 or 5 of these trails. Like they cross over each other a lot.
Facing up them or something. Off the road as well, be unusual.
So you're saying there's more of these mechanized things around here?
Whatever, these tracks are deep, they're quite heavy, or at least one of them is.
That's pretty unusual. I mean, it's rare to see one, let alone like 4 or 5.
It's above my pay grade.
Well, I guess we may as well carry on down the road, see what we find, but looks like something big happened here, or is going on.
He's trying to say we at least try to find the cart before heading back to Zach.
Yeah. I mean, there's a fairly good chance if these guys ran into it, they may have just taken whatever was on there for themselves.
True, they may have missed the box. We could be in luck. Okay.
True. All right, let's kind of hurry down the road then, see if we can get there before anyone else who might stumble upon whatever's left.
Yeah, let's try and pick up the pace. That's a good point. I've been looking for fresh tracks. Have we seen any other sort of footprints, or has it just been these deep wheel ruts?
It's mainly these wheel ruts. I mean, there's animal tracks and things like that cross the road periodically, but yeah, as you walk along for the next few hours, mainly these big vehicle tracks are the main feature.
Yeah, we'll carry on then, see if we can try and track something. If these sort of, I don't know whether they are trucks or carts or vans or something, then we'll probably hear them coming back the other way, won't we?
Yeah, I assume we would, yeah. I mean, can we hear anything now if we listen, like any sounds of anything up ahead?
No, not really. And there's just enough sort of atmospheric, wind and rustling of undergrowth and animals sort of off the road, and the crunch of your own boots on like the broken paving, that you can't really hear anything that's not quite close or very loud. It's not raining right now, but it's still quite windy. But you're fairly sure up in the distance you can, in the extreme distance, as you can see, there's something glinting. Only periodically. You get the impression there's something a lot further ahead that's moving that occasionally catches the light.
Okay. The first, probably the second time I see it, I might point it out, because the first time I might just assume it's just a trick of the light or a bit of a puddle or something. But if I see it a couple of times, I'll point it out. So can you see that? Like some glinting, way over in the distance there.
That's strange.
I think we should push on and see what we can find.
So you sort of coming sort of midday now. You know, unfortunately, the rain is starting again. It's only sort of a light spatter, but it's still unpleasant. And you can see up ahead this sort of this glinting thing that's moving far ahead. You can see that now it's kicking up a little. It's kicking up like a little spray of muck as it moves, which is. It's not like a big plume of dust, but it's clearly kicking up like a spray of like water and mud. It's going along at a fair old rate, sort of thing. But it's probably only a few miles ahead, sort of thing.
Okay.
Working on the basis that if you stand at ground level, your horizon is about 4 miles away.
Okay.
I don't like the look of that.
No, I think it might be worth following it along, but stay at a safe distance, because it would be best if they didn't notice us. Can we see any signs of whatever was on the left side of the path that's like was running alongside it? Or
So there's still these tracks on the off to the left. They're just the track it leaves is very similar to a person walking through like a cornfield. It just leaves like a rut through it, but plenty of animals do that too. It's not unusual. It's only the fact that there are these tracks in there that really mark them out if you go and look at them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So what's the cover like around here? If we had to get off the boat, say.
It's mainly sort of scrubby undergrowth. I mean, the ground off the road is fairly. It's rough, and it's superficially it looks pretty flat, but you could walk 5 feet off the road and fall in a pit. You wouldn't know from standing on the road, sort of thing. Like it could drip away in like a steep embankment, but what you see when you look is sort of just thorny crap. You know, and as it sort of it trails off into the starts of the hills, off to the south and the north. The north one's a bit further away. You know, you get the occasional tree in the lee of the hills, and then you just go sort of scrubby grass. Towards the top of the hills, it's just grass or rock. Normally chalk.
Okay, so we could potentially, if we need to dive out the way, we could just dive out the way and hopefully.
Yeah, you can dive off the road and hope that the ground is under you.
Yeah.
But,
and not too many thorny bushes.
Yeah.
Into the blackthorn.
Yeah.
Ah!
It's like you as seasoned travellers, you would know that, you know, this is the sort of place where you get killweasel warrens and, you know, and wild pigs and all sorts of things. You know, wandering off road isn't always a great idea.
Yeah.
That's why you just stick to the path and just keep going. This thing is 4 miles ahead.
Yeah, I think if we try and just kind of keep about this distance and try not to close with it or let it get too far away, that'd be good.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you guys do for lunch?
I pull out some more of the jerky and hand that round, and then hand the pork off as well.
Yeah, so we had bacon patties for breakfast. We had a little bit of pork, and now we've got this jerky. So we've actually probably doing all right for food so far.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And also, as we're walking, going to be looking for any sort of brambles that have fruit and things like that. It being autumn.
Yeah. As you say, as you're walking along, you do occasionally spot sort of blackberry bushes and things like that. They tend to be the lower branches tend to be picked clean, and the top of the bush tends to be pretty well scavenged by birds. But there's a solid band sort of out of the below the notice of something flying over the top that needs to stand on the top of a bush, and out of the reach of something on the ground. maybe sort of about 4 feet off the ground, there is a sort of band of sort of recoverable fruits.
I'm just going to unstring the that tin can and start just chucking ones in as I find them.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them are. Yeah. I mean, most of them are ripe. Some of them are rotting because it's so damp. But yeah, you can probably, if you don't mind losing a bit of pace, you can probably fill the can with berries.
Yeah, probably let this thing pull away a bit further because we don't want to actually catch up to it because it looks scary.
Okay. So yeah, as you get off the road, you pick berries. You occasionally sort of glance off to the west to make sure you haven't lost sight of this thing. Yeah, you scavenge yourself up a nice tin of berries to enjoy later. And as sort of as afternoon turns into evening, you start to realise that you're catching up to this vehicle on the road. It appears to have stopped, and periodically you see something small, smaller, slightly larger than the size of a man or a woman, rush across the road at great speed. As you're drawing closer, you occasionally hear an incredibly annoying nasal tone. Normally when these things rush across the road.
Yeah.
As you draw closer, if you are drawing closer.
I might have a hurried conference deciding whether we want to draw closer or not. I mean,
We'll keep drawing closer, but try and be a bit more sort of low down a bit and less obvious.
Yeah.
Did you want to try working along off the road, like through the scrub, just to try and, or
Not
just
with the
walk along the
kill
road?
weasels.
Would have wanted to kill someone.
All right, fair point. Okay, let's just walk along the road then. I mean, hopefully they don't mean any harm. Do any of us have any weapons, by the way? I mean, I assume being like, seasoned travellers on the road, I would have some manner of weapon. But...
Yeah, you probably do, yeah. I mean, I don't imagine firearms would necessarily be the first order of business, but you'd probably have something to defend yourself with, yeah.
Yeah, length of pipe.
I know.
I'd probably have a decent, like, a knife.
Yeah.
Old utility knife.
Yeah.
Homemade bow.
Yeah.
Not a great
theory,
one,
yeah.
but
Yeah. And you've got like a hunting bow, like a rabbiting bow sort of thing. Yeah. Right.
basically just fires sharpened sticks.
Yeah. Got a good £10 draw.
Depends how wet it is. But yeah, so you're wandering along. You've got your knife, bow, length of broken pipe, sort of to hand, if not in hand. And you see, you see this vehicle in the road. I say it's about sort of 5 feet wide, standing there on almost grotesquely wide tires. It might once have been painted a uniform colour, but it looks now like most of the panels have been salvaged from other vehicles. And they look like they've been persuaded to fit. So it's the main bodywork is dark blue, but like the back doors are red. Like, some of the windows made of silvered tape. One's quite clearly a bin bag that's been reinforced with something sticky at some point. It's not looking its best.
More impressive from further away.
Oh yeah. Far more impressive from further away. But you do realise as you sort of draw closer that whoever's operating this clearly has the wherewithal A, to fix a thing like this, and B, to run it. So they're probably not anyone to be dicked about with too lightly. And as you sort of draw close enough to notice all these things, one of these horrible nasal things shoots across the road behind you. And the stink of this thing. It kicks out this horrible, like, grey, black, like, cloud of exhaust as it tears past. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like it's like burning oil and the worst kebab shop you've ever been to. Like rancid meat fat. As it rips past, like, this thing's quite clearly been like converted to run on any kind of reclaimed oils. It runs by, it backfires. There's little pops every so often. It stinks. And someone give me a perception. Does anyone manage to look around and actually witness this thing? You can smell it. You can hear it. You know it's happened.
I got a 6.
30.
Crit.
Okay. Those of you who can roll dice, on a 13, you managed to turn around in time to see two people in like fairly heavy, like, hides mainly. Like, they're bound on, like, they're wearing sort of hide padding, like, on their elbows and their knees. They're wearing like fairly thick, like, leathery, hidey jackets, and both of them have these like weird hide hoods that secure under the chin. The one on the back appears to have a rifle of some kind across his chest, and they're riding what we would recognise as like someone's shitty attempt to customize a motocross bike, but to you it just looks like a insanely impressive mechanical horse of some kind, some wheeled vehicle that operates like a riding beast. It's amazing. It's great. It stinks. And before you can take in much more than that, it just vanishes into the scrub on the other side of the road. Like, you can still see the people, but the vehicle itself is hidden. You turn round and you see two twats on a bike. One of them's got a gun. They're quite clearly looking at you. They've you've been seen. You've been acknowledged. As it tears off into the undergrowth, the person on the back is still facing you. They haven't raised their gun yet, but they're quite clearly, you see them raise one hand and like wave towards the main vehicle.
I put my hands up in the age-old gesture of surrender and just turning slightly towards the other, go, they've got guns, they've got mechanical bikes, they look like twats, but we need to be nice because they've got guns.
I can't see the camera stop at this point.
I'll be like, you better talk to him then.
Why me?
Oh, you're the one that does the nice talking.
I'm not.
Okay, I'll go then.
All right then, Boney, you're up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would I respect you?
Offer them a stew.
Yeah.
The can of berries.
Yeah, give us berries.
As you stand there, like, loudly arguing about who's the most charismatic person in the group, the other smaller vehicles they all sort of skid to a stop in like various points around you, in the scrub. Like, clearly all of the riders are sort of looking back towards the main vehicle, sort of wanting to know what to do about the fact you're there. They're not passive, because because they have guns and they're looking at you with intent, but they're also not actually, actively
Shooting.
aggressive towards you right now. And as you stand there, the back doors of this van slam open, and an unusually short, ugly man steps out. He's wearing why not? He's wearing a white coat. He clearly has carpet slippers on. He has like messy hair and glasses that have quite clearly been made from two separate pairs that are taped together in the middle. He looks quite unsure about where to step. He clearly doesn't get out of the vehicle very often. And he's flanked by two rather more business-like looking chaps who are in similar sort of leathers and hides, like the folks on the bikes, also armed. And you can see inside the van that there's quite clearly someone strapped down on a folding table. And someone standing over them, sort of looking out, squinting in the bright light. It's now, well, so it's still sort of late afternoon, but it's bright light compared to what they had in there. And this short, uncommonly ugly man. What business have you got here? Who
Just
are you?
passing through.
It's getting worse.
Well, be quick about it. Yeah, go on. And,
You haven't seen a guy with a cart drawn by pigs around here, have you? He was supposed to bring us a package with our boss.
He looks a little unsure at this.
I wanted to say that.
Sort of. He kind of like half turns to the other person in the van, who is the other person in the van is a woman of average height who looks a fair bit more put together. Who sort of looks you kind of get you get that look of someone who's just like, don't say too much. Hard eyes, unreadable expression, mild glare. He's like, oh no, nothing like that. No, nothing at all. No.
Just going to turn to Jeff and say, if we're just passing through, don't tell them what we're doing.
Yes, I say listen to your friend. Yes. You don't need to. You don't need to know what we're doing. We don't need to know what you're doing. On your way. Go.
I'll
Okay.
start walking through because there are armored people here telling us to go away.
Yeah.
I start walking.
I'm just going to walk through, not rushing, not dawdling, just walking through, but not looking like I'm being forced to budge.
Okay. Yeah. As you pass to the side of this van, the bikers start circling again. Like they spread out and get the impression they're sort of combing the area. As you pass the van, you realise in front of it is the burned out remnants of a wagon that has barrels on it. The cover has quite clearly been like smashed off. The reinforcing rings that like used to hold the canvas cover up. The back one's collapsed, and the middle one is shattered. The canvas where it hasn't burned away is torn. To reveal these barrels that mainly seem to be contain like odds and ends that are made of metal. Give me a perception, as you sort of those of you who care to sort of give it more than a passing glance.
9.
12.
No. Oh, 11. Dirty 11.
Brody, you're pretty sure the outside... you're pretty sure that pinned underneath the collapsed wagon, there's a hat with Brian written on it. No. The kind that someone might give to an employee who dislikes hats and force them to wear it.
Oh, are we still being watched at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you've basically been dismissed, but you're still visible.
But we're walking past this thing, aren't we?
Yeah. They're not really paying much attention. No, the bikers aren't really paying much attention to you. They're watching out in general. The people in the van are just ignoring you now.
So would I be able to, like, kind of just, like, you know, stretch and kind of duck down a little bit and, like, pick this hat up without being noticed?
Yeah, you could try.
I'll try.
If Boney tells you there's a hat there, like, you've just, like, noticed there's a burnt out thing. Like, he's seen a hat.
Fair enough.
I'm going to keep quiet about the hat.
You're going to keep quiet about the hat. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you want to, you know, duck in and try and scavenge anything off of this wagon, that's cool.
Well, I just, like, with a 12, I just glanced at it as I'm walking past just to see kind of what I could see.
Yeah. Okay, with your 12, so you notice that there's this wagon's quite large, and the barrels of scrap metal parts are a little odd. Like, if you're going to move scrap metal, why bother putting it in barrels? If you've got a wagon this big, it's not like you need small bundles in circular like barrels that take up more room. Like, are very inefficient because there's gaps. It's just a little odd as a setup. And
does it look like it could have been drawn by pigs?
They would have to be big pigs, but yeah.
Okay. And do you say it's been burnt out, this thing, or?
It's been on fire at some point recently.
Yeah. Okay.
And before that, it looks like it's been damaged quite severely.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks like possibly someone's been thrown through the cover.
Right. Okay. I guess, like, we might as well kind of keep moving, but I guess as soon as we can kind of get out of ear's reach of these people, I'll be like, I'm pretty sure that's the wagon that we were looking for.
What would I have noticed with my dirty 11?
So, with your dirty 11, if you were looking at something different, if you're looking, what are you looking for? Is the same. Like with a 12, Burke, having gone forward to the thing with an eye to scavenge it, noticed details about its cargo. What are you looking at this with an eye to?
I would be looking to try and work out what is likely to have caused the damage.
Okay. As you look at it, you're fairly sure the majority of the damage to this was caused by the fire.
Mm-hmm.
There's clearly damage that predates the fire. And as you look, there are some weird places where there's, like, chunks missing out of the woodwork that don't make any sense. Like in the rear wheel arch. And there's, like, a void underneath the front seat where the whole front seat is basically fallen in. And it's like, why would you put an empty bit there? Like, this clearly looks like at some point it's had secret panels, and most of them have burnt away because the panels were small.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But yeah, it looks like this has been set on fire. But as you look sort of at it properly, you can tell that it's been set on fire after it's been damaged.
Okay.
You know, like, Like reinforcement hoops were broken. As you look, you actually find some teeth marks inside in the wood, which is weird. Yeah, there are scratch marks too.
I would let the others know that.
Are they like human-looking tooth marks or animal marks?
They're big enough for a human.
So yeah, I would go respond to the whole. I think that's the cart we were looking for. With damage was done before it burnt, but a lot of that damage was from the burning. But there's teeth marks in it.
Well, I mean, if they were coming from this way, can we see any marks on the ground, like any footprints or anything around this area? If those guys were on bikes and the other guys were inside the truck, then I assume the only footprints around are ours at the moment.
There around this wagon, there are a lot of footprints. The ground immediately around it is kind of a mire. It's been pulled slightly off the road, like you presume while on fire. But whatever caused this damage and this fire, like people survived it.
Yeah.
And obviously the people in this vehicle have got out and you would presume pulled whoever was tied to that table out of here.
Are there any other footprints leading away?
No. Not well, there are footprints leading to the van. You can't really find any others. I mean, they might have been rained out, depending on how long this has been here.
I'd assume like we'll continue like walking along the road away from them, so we don't like just stop and look suspicious, huddling like, too nearby. But I'd be like, well, you know, if whoever was like, yeah, if that thing had our cargo and it was attacked before, it could be that someone's taken it away before those guys turned up. I mean, like,
because I'd rather not get it off of those guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's pretty tricky to do, but equally, I mean, like maybe they're looking for the same thing we are. I mean, it seems like they stopped by that wagon. Like, I'm pretty sure they had room to go past it if they wanted to. And is it like super late or is it like kind of just mid-afternoon?
It's a little after lunch, so it's sort of mid-afternoon. Might be eating towards the early evening.
So it's still a little bit early to stop and...
I mean, at this time of year, people stop quite early.
Fair enough.
It starts getting dark at sort of 4 or 5.
True.
A few things to think about, though. Teeth marks and scratches against the cart itself. It's been pulled off the road and it's then been burned. So what do you reckon? Do you reckon something attacked it first? Whoever had the box got out, got into the undergrowth maybe? So they'd stay here and continue circling it. So they probably, with those motorised vehicles, they'd be able to nip off further down and come back and try and scout out the area, and they haven't found anything. They'd have been kept off of going into the deeper sort of scrub and brush by nature of those bikes they've got. Also, looking at it, they've that sort of any sort of noise they'd make will have scared off any wild animals. So it's not hasn't come from them, so they've come along afterwards. And as you say there, you reckon the guy they got tied down could be a survivor who they're either trying to pump for information or torture and keep alive. So I think there's a good chance if this box hasn't, well, if they found the box, they'd have gone straight away, wouldn't they? They wouldn't be hanging around for it.
Yeah.
So I think the box is somewhere out there with someone or someone's in the world there.
Well, should we just wander back along the road, just looking to see if we can see any tracks that just suddenly step off into the woods or anything?
Problem with that is they know that we're after the box as well. If this is the cart we're after, which is looking more and more likely. If we then basically just double back and start scouting the area, they're going to know what we're after, and they're probably going to try and stop us.
Well, I meant we're already heading in the direction where the cart came from. I mean, if we keep looking back here, we could either see where, like, if there were attackers, they would have come from somewhere, or maybe gone from somewhere. Might give us like a direction to start looking in.
Would say also, Boney, you're fairly sure this is the cart you were looking for. You knew the name of the merchant who operated the cart you were looking for, and you've seen a hat with that guy's name on it. Either this is the cart that belonged to that guy, or that guy sold someone a hat with his name on it, and they later died, coming the same way as he was on a faster vehicle.
Last gasp of "I'm Brian."
Unless, of course, he's there, sort of strapped to the table, being kept alive.
Yeah. Well, we didn't hear any cries of "I'm Brian" as we walked past the edge of the thing.
Yeah, the information they got out of him was "I'm Brian."
it's like, did you record everything he said? It's like, I've just got pages of saying, "Do you know who I am? I'm Brian."
Oh. Either I think the best thing to do is going to probably be to try and sort of keep going down the road. Whatever's happened is, can we tell maybe from the tracks if it looks like it's been sort of stopped and dragged off the road, or is it like it's just careened off the road gently, or?
Your guess would be that the cart, heavily damaged and on fire, has veered off the road suddenly and been abandoned.
Right. So if they got out of this, they probably got out of this down the road. Either way, I think we need to go further away from where these guys are, see if we can find anything, and possibly head out into the wilderness and try and circle back around that way, and just see what we can find. It's a long shot, but we've got to try it.
Well, I think just keep going down the path and keep an eye out for any signs of anything going off, and then at least then we could know left or right to go and start looking, and it would like halve down the amount of area we've got to look at.
We could do that, or
I'm thinking this is well above our pay grade.
Or we could just keep going down the road to Beats. Cart's gone. Some other guys must have taken it. We report back to Zach, and we go home.
I do like that plan.
I like that plan. I think this is way above our pay grade. If there's people with motorised vehicles involved, it's way above our pay grade.
That's true.
So if we counter this sort of look at, I mean, we can, if we count on it, we'll get to Pete's in a few hours. The stew won't be too bad. We get our week's pay regardless.
True.
Beer.
And it won't be raining.
Freshish beer. If it will be raining, we'll be out of the rain.
Yeah, it won't be raining on us as well.
Most importantly, we won't be run down, gunned down, or killed by kill weasels.
I do like all of these options.
I like this option.
I vote we head to Pete's.
I agree. Let's
Okay, onwards to Pete's. Screw the parcel.
Excellent. Yes. You go to the pub. You find out that there have been attacks on the merchants nearby, on the road, generally at night, mostly involving fire.
Good thing we got to Pete's before it got dark.
Yeah. And after spending a few days at Pete's recovering from your long journeys, you turn back and you head to where where it was arranged you would meet Zach.
Mm-hmm.
And you report to your boss that the package is missing. And what else do you report? What's your excuse, basically? He gave you a simple goddamn job.
We're going to tell him about the huge armoured convoy full of heavily armed and mechanized troops that threatened the entire area, and certainly big up how many guns and what amazing state of superb repair these trucks were in.
Yeah, and the fact that lots and lots of vehicles have been attacked and burnt.
So I knew this thing was coming. They've been keeping an eye out for it.
And the fact that it was
us with our length of pipe, his knife, and your both rabbiting.
Yeah. And we only just managed to talk our way past them without being shot ourselves. It was... And that actually we had to spend a few tack to get past him. We feel that we should probably be compensated for that as well.
Yeah.
Or just be allowed to continue working without being sacked.
No, we need the reimbursement as well as not being sacked.
Yes. Well, Zach, I presume Zach grumbles a bit about all this. reimbursement. Yeah, that's not how we did business in his day.
I should say that word.
Yeah, and he leaves you with a small packet of tack, with instructions to go and wait for him in Hawes until he gets back with the rest of your pay and your next job.
Okay.
So yeah. And that's that. That is what you do as your retrieval team. You have told Zach and Old Man Bowland that his package is not coming home. You did nothing to avenge Brian's death.
He didn't know he was dead yet. He could have been fine strapped down to that table in that
I didn't even know it was him in that van.
I mean, they sent an ambulance out for him. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
To be fair, would anyone who actually knows Brian really mourn his death? Anyone?
No.
I don't know. I think we established that Brian was part of a family of Brians.
Yeah.
Who are powerful traders, but
yes,
I don't think anyone would moan.
I don't know. I like Brian. I thought he was cool.
Youngest son.
It was also surprisingly steady in the face of adversity as well. But the fact that he got threatened by a post-gen and held his nerve was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's just him believing his own ego, though.
Yeah, that's courage born of idiocy.
Yeah.
But yes, there we are. You have completed this tale of desolation, and that's that for tonight. So yeah, I was thirsty. I was the world. I was the short, uncommonly ugly man you talked to, and his far taller, average-looking friends. I was Hammond, who threw bacon sarnies at you, even after you tried to hurt him and broke his favourite mug.
He was trying to annoy us for 3 days straight.
In the vein.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like any good friend would. He just overestimated your familiarity. You know.
Pushed his luck.
Yeah, he...
And failed.
Yeah, he was a bit of a cock. Yeah. And that, I was thirsty, I was the world. You can find me on Twitter at thirsty_BTP. You can find me at bloodthirstypuppets.co.uk. You can find me here on Mondays. And you can find me on YouTube any day. Because that's how YouTube works.
Your convenience.
Yeah. Well, it's only as convenient as the ads. But hey.
Oh, God.
Let's not grumble too bad. We love you, YouTube. We love you. We don't. There we are. So yes, that was me. Next we shall go to Lilth.
I'm Lilth. I was Drut. You can find me here on a Monday night. You can find me on Twitter at Purple Beeholder. That's the insect bee. You can find me on Kit Battlebeard on a Saturday occasionally when the fates align and the stars are in the correct hemisphere and all of that jazz. That's about it at the moment.
Fair enough.
There is a Corpses and Curios thing coming up end of October, I think, on Kit's channel.
With plenty of passion.
Nope. No, this time it's going back to our golden age of Halcyon Capers game.
I don't know. You can have plenty of passion in Halcyon City.
That's true. Yes, but we're not going back to the telenovela yet.
Telenovela. Whoa.
Yes. So it's
that voice got me in trouble at home.
Capers and then masks. 2-day special to celebrate the first anniversary.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you are. And right, Tech, you're also on that line on the overlay. You can go next.
Cool. I have been Tech, and today I was playing Burke, which was good fun. I enjoyed playing a nice grumpy old miserable person again. Mostly you can probably find me on the Discord service. I'm around most of the time on there. Details of that are in Thirsty's Twitter thing if you need to find it. And there's probably also some details on bloodthirstypuppets.co.uk on how to get to the Discord service. not. There probably should be. But anyway, yeah, I'll catch you like on the Discord things and website.
Excellent. Right. Brass, play us out. Go.
Hello. Oh, goodbye, even. I'm Brass Viking. I'm in Discord servers from now and again, and now and again. That'll do. And that's pretty much it for now. So yeah, it's been a pleasure, and be seeing you.
Right. Well, there we are. Right. Well, we've run wildly over time, so let's not use up any more of yours. Drink up, folks. Ta-ra.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, wow. I almost didn't fuck that up.
Oh, I can finally twitch properly out of position. I was trying to not twitch so much that I broke my camera, but also like, oh god, laying in bed in exactly the same position without twitching for like 2.5 hours. Like, ah.
Yes. Yes. You guys, you.
What have I done?
I actually sat and did recap watching the other day, and then you started mentioning Brian. I was like, shit, I cannot remember if you killed Brian or not.
No, we
No,
didn't.
No.
we left him
He's
alive.
not in the back of the cart at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
in
Yeah.
past,
He was unconscious in the front, wasn't he? Because he was sitting next
so I
to you.
remember
in
the
boat.
plan was to
Yeah.
not. The plan was to kill him. Then it was to not kill him, and then the plan changed again in some manner.
I think we bailed and left him in the cart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, it was basically
Like jumped off
kill him.
when we saw people attacking it and just ran off or something.
No, we didn't get that far, did we? Because it ended
No.
pretty much with Lilth's character being knocked unconscious and not dying, with all the kill weasels.
Kill
I
weasels.
think that was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that may have been it actually. So I think we were probably Brian was on his own in the front seat of the wagon, like just about regaining consciousness, and the rest of us were trying to heal Lilth and drag her out of
I
kill
think I was
weasels.
still in the wagon,
Yeah.
wasn't I?
Sorry? No,
think
you
I was-
did come to help.
Did I? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think at some
He
point you
is-
gave up and tried to wander back again, but you did
Yeah,
come
Brian
and
is
try and help.
tied to the cart. According to my notes.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so sitting there like, who should I make it in, like, being tied down to a table in the back of the van? It's like, it could be Brian. And you were like, I don't hear anyone shouting, I'm Brian. I was like, I'm Brian.
As the door just slowly closes up.
You can't do this to me. I'm Brian. But hey, no, you'll never know what happened because you didn't look.
I do love our just like, what heroic thing should we do? It's like we could just go back and tell our boss it's all gone to shit and it's not our fault. It's like, I like that plan.
That's see that's perfect. I always try and tell people you don't have to be heroes. You just have to make a story. And your
It's
story was
definitely
told to your boss about why you weren't bad employees.
It was definitely
Possible.
above our pay grade.
Yeah.
That was just hilarious. Like, we could do all this crazy stuff, but that would actually be a full-blown campaign. This is a one-shot, so we're just going to go home and make up shit about why we couldn't do what we did.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah,
We waited. It was overdue. We did what we were supposed to. In fact, we did more than we were supposed
Right.
Went above and beyond. We actually
went
went
to
out
try
to-
and find it.
Yeah.
anyway, so
We
you're
went
gonna,
above and beyond.
put in a fucking overtime claim now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh
Good.
God,
Speaking of which, wear and tear on my bucket.
wear and tear in your goddamn
Wear and
bucket.
tear on the tent.
Oh, yeah,
there was
especially that
additional.
tent.
We've got some muddy footprints in the tent due to this outrageous activity we had before.
Yeah, some prick stood in the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
Thanks for
cringed at
playing.
that.
hopefully next week we can jump into brutality.
Cool.
So we can get the next chapter of the prologue open. So there we go. We'll have to leave what happened to the scum crew a big old like mystery because you didn't investigate. Anyway, there we are. Thank you very much, and cheerio.
Yeah.